The storm broke over Willow Creek at midnight, a fury of wind and rain that rattled windows and tore branches from the ancient oaks lining the streets. Lightning cracked the sky, illuminating a figure standing motionless on Ethan Harper's front lawn. She was a silhouette of menace, her umbrella snapping in the gale, a clipboard clutched like a weapon. Ethan, bleary-eyed and still unpacking boxes from his move 3 days ago, opened the door to a voice that sliced through the storm's roar. "Your grass is 2.9 inches tall," the woman barked, her tone sharp enough to draw blood. "Willow Creek, HOA mandates a maximum of 2 inches. You're in violation." No greeting, no neighborly warmth, just a ruler extended toward his sodden lawn like a judge's gavel. Ethan blinked, rain dripping from his hair. "I'm Ethan. Just moved in. Haven't had time to," she cut him off, thrusting a waterlogged binder at him with such force he staggered back. Section 12, paragraph 4, subsection B. New residents have 48 hours to comply. You're 24 hours late. Her name was Margaret Voss, and in Willow Creek, her word was law. Ethan had chosen Willow Creek for its manicured charm and its proximity to his new job as a forensic accountant with the county prosecutor's office. The irony of that choice would haunt him soon enough. Margaret, the HOA president for 9 unbroken years, wasn't just a stickler for rules, she was their leave-ing embodiment. Her morning patrols, armed with a camera and a notebook, were the stuff of neighborhood legend. Her black SUV, license plate reading "Wool Cruel," prowled the streets like a predator. Neighbors whispered of her evening phone calls, her voice dripping with threats of fines for infractions as trivial as an unapproved mailbox color. Ethan, still unpacking his life into this suburban dream, had no idea he'd just stepped into her crosshairs. For the first week, Ethan played the model resident. He mowed his lawn to precisely 2 inches, repainted his mailbox in the mandated Willow Creek taupe, and kept his head down. But Margaret's scrutiny was unrelenting. On day 8, she appeared at his door at 7:15 a.m., her signature triple knock rattling the frame. "Your porch light is 75 watts, she said, holding up a photo of his front door, clearly taken at dawn. Section 19, paragraph 3. Exterior lighting must not exceed 60 watts. Replace it by noon or face a due law 50 fine. Ethan, coffee in hand, forced a smile. "I'll take care of it, Margaret. Thanks for the heads up." Her eyes narrowed, as if his compliance was an insult. She scribbled something on her clipboard and stormed off, her heels sinking into his regulation height grass. The real trouble began with the wind chime. Ethan's sister, Lila, had given it to him before she passed it, a delicate creation of driftwood and seashells, hung from a maple tree in his backyard. It was a private tribute hidden from the street, but Margaret's radar was uncanny. The next morning, her triple knock woke him. "Wind chimes are prohibited," she declared, brandishing a photo of the chime, snapped from an angle that suggested she'd climbed his fence. "They create noise pollution. Remove it by 10 a.m. or a due law 150 fine." Ethan's patience frayed. "Margaret, I checked the guidelines. Appendix C allows wind chimes under 30 decibels if they're on private property. Mine's well within the limit." Her face twitched, a flicker of rage at being challenged. "The board president interprets the rules," she snapped. "And I interpret this as a violation." Ethan leaned against the doorframe, his voice calm but firm. "Then I'd like to appeal to the full board. Section 2, paragraph 1. Residents have a right to a hearing before fines are imposed." Margaret's lips pursed into a thin line. She didn't expect a fight. "We'll see about that," she hissed and marched off. That confrontation lit a fuse. Margaret's inspections of Ethan's property became obsessive. His recycling bin was improperly aligned despite being flush with the garage. His car's tires were fractionally over the driveway line. She even cited his dog, a rescue mutt named Cooper, for barking at a squirrel, claiming it violated noise ordinances. Yet Ethan noticed a pattern, the rules bent for others. The Thompsons' basketball hoop, a clear violation, stood untouched. "Mrs. Delaney's garish pink flamingos, forbidden by Section 15, Paragraph 6, remained proudly staked in her yard. Margaret's wrath seemed reserved for those who dared question her. Ethan's first HOA meeting confirmed his suspicions. The community center was a sterile box, its folding chairs arranged with military precision. Margaret presided from a raised table, flanked by 3 board members who nodded like puppets. The agenda dragged through minutiae-approved fence heights, the perils of non-native shrubs until the treasurer's report. Margaret waved a single page. Finances are stable. Ethan raised his hand. Can we see the detailed ledger? It's standard for HOA transparency. The room froze. Margaret's smile was a blade. Detailed reports require a written request, 72 hours in advance. Section 17, Paragraph 2. Ethan held up a slip of paper. I submitted one 5 days ago. Here's the receipt. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Margaret's composure cracked, her cheeks flushing. A clerical oversight, she stammered. It'll be ready next month. She rushed to the next topic, but Ethan caught Mrs. Delaney and Mr. Thompson exchanging glances. After the meeting, they cornered him in the parking lot. Mrs. Delaney, a sharp-eyed widow in her late 60s, lit a cigarette. You got guts, kid, or a death wish. Mr. Thompson, a burly ex-cop, lowered his voice. Last guy who poked around the finances got buried in violations. Sold his house 6 months later. Ethan frowned. Why's everyone so scared of her? Mrs. Delaney exhaled a plume of smoke. Because she's untouchable. And the money hour dues, the special assessment sits, not adding up. She ticked off examples. A Dulaw $15,000 pa VYing fund for a lot that remained cracked. A security upgrade with no new cameras. And those new roses in Margaret's yard? Paid for by the landscaping budget. Ethan's forensic instincts kicked in. At home, he pored over the HOA guidelines, cross-referencing them with public records. Margaret's reign was a masterclass in control. No external audits, no independent accountants, just her handling the books. He befriended Claire, the HOA secretary, over coffee. Nervous, she admitted Margaret doctored meeting minutes, erasing votes that challenged her. She calls it streamlining, Claire whispered, glancing at the cafe door. Ethan tracked down a former board member, Tom, a retired CPA who'd quit after questioning a Dulaw $25,000 emergency roof repair for a clubhouse with no leaks. She made my life hell, Tom said. Daily fines, anonymous complaints. I bailed. The breakthrough came from Mrs. Delaney. Her attic was a treasure trove of old newsletters and financial summaries, meticulously saved. Over her kitchen table, they mapped a timeline of dubious charges, a reserve fund that ballooned from Dulaw $12,000 to Dulaw $60,000 with no statements, maintenance contracts with firms that vanished from public records. Most damning was the targeting of Willow Creek's senior enclave retirees on fixed incomes hit with skyrocketing fees. Mrs. Delaney's dues had tripled in 4 years, forcing her to dip into SAVYNGS. My neighbor, Mrs. Chun, sold her place last year, she said, voice trembling. Couldn't afford the assessments. Margaret's bleeding us dry. Ethan's blood ran cold. This wasn't just petty tyranny, it was predation. He spent nights building a case, pulling bank statements, property records, and tax filings. Margaret's scheme was intricate but sloppy. Funds funneled through shell companies, payments to consultants with no paper trail. A Dulaw $40,000 irrigation upgrade coincided with her new in-ground pool. By Friday, Ethan had a dossier thick enough to sink her. He took it to his boss, ADA Rachel Nguyen. This is fraud, embezzlement, maybe elder abuse, he said. Rachel's eyes widened as she flipped through the EVY Denke. You got her dead to rights. The investigation exploded. By Monday, subpoenas hit local banks. By Wednesday, the FBI joined, tracing Dulaw $420,000 in HOA funds to offshore accounts tied to Margaret and her brother-in-law, a shady contractor. The scheme spanned 3 states, with Margaret's fingerprints on similar frauds in other HOAs. Her arrest came at dawn. a spectacle that shook Willow Creek. 8 agents swarmed her pristine Tudor home, hauling out computers and files. Margaret, in silk pajamas monogrammed with MV, shrieked about due process as handcuffs snapped shut. Her brother-in-law, caught fleeing to Miami, spilled everything. Fake invoices, kickbacks, threats to silence dissenters. The fallout was seismic. Margaret faced 32 charges, including wire fraud, racketeering, and exploitation of the elderly. At her bail hearing, she wailed, "Who'll enforce the guidelines?" The judge, unmoved, set bail at due law $4 million, citing her flight risk. The preliminary hearing laid bare the damage. Due law $1.2 million stolen, dozens of seniors forced from their homes. Margaret's icy facade shattered as restitution demands topped due law $800,000. For the first time, she was silent, her empire of rules and fear reduced to ash. Willow Creek began to heal. A new board, led by Mrs. Delaney, slashed fees and hired an independent auditor. Ethan, hailed as a hero, hung Lila's wind chime again, its soft notes a quiet VY Tory. But late at night, when the wind howled, he'd check his lawn, half expecting Margaret's shadow, ruler in hand, measuring his grass in the dark. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this VY Deo with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next VY Deo.